Today we have another Vintage YuGiOh market watch. Of course I'm wearing the pimp watch, so you know you can take me seriously. I am not including the PWCC batch that just ended yesterday, because first of all, I didn't follow a lot of them. I found a lot of the listings very weak. Just a lot of, trashy cards and then a few cool gems. Regardless, I want to see what gets paid for before we go over it, but it seems like DDS ended quite low, like below a lot of people's expectations. Regardless, let's cover those when we see what's paid for and what isn't. So, some more all-time highs. April 10, we had a BGS 9.5 Starlight Prismatic Rare Appaloosa for $1,931. Now, I have said before, I am not a huge fan of Starlight Rares. I'm not a huge fan of speculating on Modern. But if I had to pick a Starlight Rare, it would probably be Appaloosa. Or Masquerena. She's also pretty cute. Next up, we had a BGS 9.5 Black Rose Dragon First Edition Ultimate Rare, so not Ghost Rare. Actually go for $2,425. That's pretty interesting. Black Rose is cool, but usually all the love goes to the ghosts. Of course, if this was a ghost, this would end much higher. The ultis generally don't get as much love as the ghosts. Then we had a BPT 003 PSA 9 Blue Eyes, go for $1,100. Again, BPT, I'm a fan of them. I'm not a fan of the broken neck Blue Eyes art by itself, but BPT overall just looks really cool to me. I have both 003 and 009 being graded right now, so maybe I'm biased, but a lot of BPT cards are pretty cool to me. Next, we had a BGS 9 Dark Armed Dragon from Phantom Darkness First Edition, go for $1,600. This is interesting because a lot of GX secrets, despite being incredibly hard to pull, have always been quite low priced compared to a lot of the vintage stuff. Now again, they don't have that anime power, but they do have that players from back in the day power. If you ask me what I have very strong connections towards, Dark Arm Dragon would be a huge one. Necroface would be a huge one because I played competitively at that time and they were just seen as these dominant cards that I couldn't afford. Now again, that's not the same for most of the population who grew up on Kaiba, Yugi, Battle City, and so forth. So it's a bit of a niche market. I'm not saying it will ever reach the same heights as LOB or anything like that, but it's interesting to track regardless. Some of these are way harder to pull than some of the Duel Monster stuff, harder to grade than some of the sets, not all, and quite loved, but again, more niche. Next up, we had a Blue Eyes White Dragon DDS PSA 9 go for $7,300, which is actually lower than its previous all-time high of $9,500 or something. So a slight retracement on DDS PSA 9, again, kind of in line with the retracement that we've seen on the PSA 10. Again, I've been pretty vocal about that on this channel before, how the pop of DDS is much higher than both SDK and LOB, so there was a bit more risk in said card. Regardless, it's still a grail in my opinion of the hobby. I'm a big fan of DDS. If this thing ever goes too low for my liking, I will buy it. It's an amazing card. Next up, we had a Dark Magician Girl PSA 9 First Edition sell for $7,500. That is mind-blowing. I mean, it's not mind-blowing in the sense that I think Dark Magician Girl is a winner card. Honestly, like, it is the most wanted secret rare, in my opinion, of the Duel Monsters era, or maybe even Yu-Gi-Oh as a whole. I like Jinzo a lot, I like Gaia the Dragon Champion a lot, but compared to Dark Magician Girl, I don't think they are, competing for that spot of best secret. She's just an iconic waifu, and waifus sell. Ask the Mona Lisa. So yeah, $7,500 for the PSA 9, absolutely crazy. I do know of a private sale of Dark Magician Girl of very, very high for a PSA 10. I'm waiting. Next up, we have Dawn of Destiny Winged Dragon of Ra, actually going for $1,500 for a PSA 10. So that's pretty interesting. The puzzle box is catching up to the GBI. I've covered that before in a investing in the God cards video, so you should check that out if you haven't done that already. Next, we had a Retro Pack 2 Dragon Master Knight PSA 10 for $3,000. That's interesting. I like this card a lot. I love Dragon Master Knight. I sadly only have the Ultimate Edition. I never bought the Retro Pack one, sadly, but it's a beautiful card. Then we had a Jinzo PSV First Edition PSA 9 sell for $1,925. Once again, Jinzo, amazing secret rare. I'm a huge fan of Jinzo. He's a beautiful boy. I would like to have one day. I don't even have one being graded right now, except for the BPT ones. They look very similar. So, if you are a collector and you're coming to me and saying, I can't afford some of these iconic cards, again, look at the alternatives. If you want to collect a Jinzo and PSV is out of your range, the BPT looks almost the same. Of course, it is not the same. I'm not saying their price is ever going to be comparable, but if you're just a collector, you don't care about the financials, you've got a really old, amazing looking Jinzo in BPT. Next up, we have a PSA 10 Dark Magician Girl MFC Unlimited for $2,750. I don't remember if that's the all-time high for Unlim. I should do my homework on this card a bit more, especially in Unlim, because MFC never had that reprint wave, so there's a little bit of an argument there for actually going Unlim MFC. Again, some people might say, oh, this is riskier. I tend to agree. I am a fan of Dark Magician Girl, but you know, it's something to at least be more educated on because it doesn't get blasted by Walmart reprints in the same way. Next up, we had a Sengen Worlds card, PSA 10 for $5,600. Now, to be honest, I'm not super educated on these specifically. If you are a Sengen WCS fan, let me know everything you know about it in the comments down below. 5,600, okay. Do you think that's high? Do you think that's low? It was sold from Japan, so maybe you didn't really have the same exposure as you would have on an American type of seller, but who knows, right? Let me know what you know about Sengen Jin. Then we had a MRL Spellbinding Circle, first edition PSA 10 for $1,728. Spellbinding Circle, amazingly beautiful card. Of course, it's a trap card. It's not in the same thing as a monster, but it's still a really, really pretty card. Next, we had a Stardust Dragon Ghost Rare, first edition PSA 9 for $5,512. Wow. I think what we're gonna see more and more the coming months is, if things stagnate, correct, retrace, if, again, I'm saying if we see any type of slowdown because of things reopening up, which is perfectly possible, we will go back to those fundamentals. And the things that I've been preaching on this channel will, in my opinion, become very, very evident. Again, in a bull market where everything is up 100,000% every single day, anything wins, it's whatever. But when things settle down, your fundamentals start mattering again. Your rarity, your best of the best, your highest end, your most chased. Suddenly the alternative of the alternative of the alternative of the alternative will stop working as well. And your things that are truly rare, that are held by collectors who truly love these items and weren't just blindly speculating on them, those will hold much stronger or grow. And so I think that rarity debate will, in my opinion, really start playing out. So yeah, Ghost Rare is still doing well. Next up, we had Toon Summoned Skull, first edition MRL PSA 10 for $1,695. Wowie. I remember this card being around this price, but I don't think it ever touched this exact price. I remember earlier this year, me not willing to spend 1,100 on one when it was listed, or like 1,200, somewhere in that range. So this touching that is pretty cool. Again, I'm a huge Toon fan. I do have one being graded right now. I'm gonna send another one next up, so I'm not buying the graded one right now, but still, I would love to have a 10 of this one day. Huge fan of Toons. Next up, we had a BGS 9.5 Trihorn Dragon first edition LOB go for $2,225. Okay, secret rare from LOB. Trihorn used to be not very loved, then we had the whole new rush, so everything LOB just got a lot of love. Will this hold? No idea. It is still part of Yu-Gi-Oh history in LOB. It is definitely a lesser choice in quite some people's eyes. Still, cool card. I do want one day. Next up, we had a Game Boy Advance Winged Dragon of Ra GBI PSA 10 Ultra Rare sell for $1,400 earlier in April. However, apparently in the last PWCC batch, it actually went down to GBIs. So I would have to check again once everything is paid for. I want to get into the real specifics of that batch, but still something interesting to keep in mind. Next up, we had a 2018 Worlds Envelope Yu-Gi-Oh! Sealed Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon for $2,767. I'm not a huge fan of these envelopes. They are cool, you know, I can respect their history and so forth, but it's not for me. So I just wanted to give it to you, but I can't really say much on them or how I feel about them because I'm just not into them. Again, I'm a collector first. And then finally, once again, we have some DDS stuff. We had the PSA 10s in the PWCC batch for $16,600 and $16,100. And then the BGS 9.5 even for $8,000. So that is some strong declines on that card, at least from what people were trying to peddle it at. If you look actually at the prices that it publicly sold at, you know, last year you had it going for $16,000 when SDK was going for $13,000. I don't know if it publicly sold for higher than that. We had the $25K that ended up being shilled, well, not paid for. A lot of people went onto Instagram going, oh, selling right now, I want to sell my DDS, and they didn't really move around 20, as some people were pretending that it was because of the auction going on back then. Then we had that BGS 10 selling for less than 20, so people were saying, well, is it actually going down? And now these PSA 10s going for 16. you know, that kind of just shows you where the price of that card currently really is. So that means that DDS is basically back at its October or November of 2020 price, while the last sale of the SDK was still just a 20 something, whatever the last one ended at, and was paid for. Now, once again, this goes back to the fundamentals, the proper rarity. If you look at the population of 10s, DDS has almost double that of SDK and LOB. Now, you could also say, well, actually, people buying these DDS got a steal, and that's perfectly possible. Who knows, maybe it'll go higher again. It is the most loved looking blue eyes, and that's pretty important, the look of it. People like looking at that beautiful prismaticness. But on the other hand, it is far less rare. And so when people saw certain prices of these, they went like, okay, I'll sell at that price, because they bought it way cheaper. And again, there's a lot of those that can come to market, unlike for LOB and SDK. Still, maybe they got a steal, maybe they didn't. I don't know, we'll see. Once again though, we'll go very in-depth on this PWCC block when we get what's actually paid for. Hope you found this interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.